For over 1,000 years, Western civilization has been stuck in a dark age of sexual repression and misinformation. We get an oversexed overload from the media, but nothing in the way of honest, helpful, practical information on sex and how to do it right. That sucks, and I'm fucking sick of it. My name's JV Altheras, and I've spent a couple decades learning everything I can about how to have amazing sex and more of it. Not in a classroom like a lot of people who talk about sex. I learned it all in the gutter, right where Mom told me I'd end up. It's my mission to bring an end to the sexual dark age with brutally honest talk and education on all aspects of sex and sexuality, in an atmosphere that will keep you entertained without treating you like an idiot. Shara and I are not doctors. Certifiable, perhaps, but not certified in any way. And that means we don't have to talk about vaginas and penises to maintain academic credibility. You got a problem with a vagina? Call a gynecologist. You want to learn more about pussies and cocks and how to make them happy? You've come to the right place. Ending the Sexual Dark Age is now sponsored by the internet's most trusted name in adult toys. A happy pussy likes to play more often. AdamandEve.com is offering you guys half off on your choice of thousands upon thousands of vibrators and dildos and cock rings and strap-ons, nipple clamps, porn DVDs, butt plugs, pocket pussies, anything else you can imagine to either get yourself off or have some fun with your playmate. As always, we highly recommend making sex toys part of your sex life, and right now, AdamandEve.com is only asking for one chance to impress you. They're offering an awesome deal in support of ending the sexual dark age, and the whole thing goes a little like this. By typing Dark Age, all one word, for the offer code at checkout, you will get 50% off the most expensive item in your cart, with a few exceptions, free shipping, 3 free porn DVDs, and a sexy free mystery gift. Free DVDs are selected randomly and added to your order before they ship. AdamandEve.com is willing to damn near pay you to get off. So stop by, enter DARKAGE at checkout, and proceed to collect on an awesome deal. Or just follow one of the links on sexualdarkage.com. And if you like surfing on your smartphone, be sure to check out Adam and Eve's new mobile site. Yes, you too can buy dildos right from your iPhone now, thanks to Adam and Eve. Greetings and welcome to episode 56. You guys just missed out. I started recording just a little too late for you guys to hear Shara asking one of my cats what's wrong with me. So many different places we could go with that. I don't think the cats have the vocabulary to even begin to get into what's wrong with me.
I don't know, her ears just perked up. I mean, she might have something to say.
Oh, that cat's seen things.
Oh, yes, I know. Oh, if the cats could talk, we'd be in so much trouble.
Oh, yeah, the cats have seen things that turn a sane man crazy.
Like yesterday when we were having sex.
Yes. Oh, God, that was funny.
Oh, was it?
So let me paint a picture for you guys. Shara is in her favorite spot on the couch, kneeling on the couch, bent over the arm of the couch with her head hanging over the ground, and she's wearing her collar. And one of the things we haven't really talked about is that my cat, who was very dear to me and with me for 20 years, passed away earlier this year. And yes. I got a couple of kittens around the middle of the summer. So I have 2 amazing, adorable, bouncing baby kittens here who are now about 7 or 8 months old. And they play like kittens do. So Shara was hanging over the edge of the couch, or over the arm of the couch, and her collar was A, dangling, so it was a shiny silver thing dangling, and B, it was jingling. So she got the attention of both of the cats. So here I am pounding away on her, and she's starting to get scared because there's a cat that's going for her throat, basically.
Well, I mean, I know they love me, and I know that, she wouldn't purposely hurt me, but Shadow has sharp claws.
Yes, oh, she does.
Very sharp.
She is an all-black kitty with just a few tiny little white pieces of fur, white strands of fur on her. And when she stretches out her claws, she looks like Freddy Krueger.
Yes,
seriously, that cat has got some claws on her. So we did come up with a solution that made her happy, though. I decided to turn the collar around. This was actually one of those, they say necessity is the mother of invention, I believe is the way Ben Franklin put it. And so I turned the collar around while I was fucking her doggy style so that the ring would not be dangling and teasing the kitties. And all of a sudden, I had a ring on the back of her neck to choke her with.
So that just made it even better. What can I say? Yes, I know.
You don't have to say anything.
I know. The xylophone says it all for me.
That's right. That's a B for blush and a C for choke.
Sometimes I put myself in so much trouble, I tell you.
Yeah, but that was fun. So it was a little odd because it was a new toy.
Well,
it was a new toy that I discovered during sex, so I didn't exactly have my full focus on it.
Well, and the other thing is, it's animals to me are just amazing. And your Shelby, who was with you for 20 years, so loving and so cute. And she would just like to get in between us when we're having sex. So she, just...
Oh, yeah, Shara would be blowing me on the couch.
Yeah.
And she'd just come up and, stand up on her hind legs and put her little paws on my knee, be like, hey, what's going on around here? Oh, you sucking some dick? Hey.
I'll watch. No problem. So now I think Shadow is, getting some lessons from Shelby and saying, okay, I'll kind of pay attention. And the other thing that Shelby used to do was always love to go up on our backs, on our shoulders, and mostly you, of course. But Shadow has...
She was a parrot kitty.
Yes, and Shadow's decided that she wants to be a parrot kitty as well. And so I was a little afraid that besides going after the collar, she was also going to decide to come up on my shoulders. And, of course, I was naked, so that made me a little nervous with her claws.
Right. Well, yeah, she is still a kitten, so she has not learned yet the discretion of only jumping up on people wearing clothes. Which has been a few surprising moments here.
Yes.
At Mission Control.
Yes. So, and she loves to watch me when I'm at Mission Control. She likes to come up here, and you too. So,
Oh, yes,
play
of
with
course.
you.
Well, we have 2 monitors. And now that there are 2 kittens, one can be obstructing the view of each monitor.
Mm-hmm.
So
we really should post some pictures of that because I think people would really get a kick, especially out of Luna, who loves to just watch things go by and stare at them and her head toss. Be kind of fun to share. So, didn't mean to get off track there, but...
Well, it's quite all right. So we're going to address a few listener mail items. Wow, do we have a whole bunch of them. So we're picking a few out here and there with no particular order of urgency or anything. As we said in the last episode, if you have questions that are of an urgent nature, please feel free to email us or message us on Facebook. We have admittedly been very terrible about keeping in contact for the last few months. So there are a whole bunch of messages on FetLife that I have not quite gotten to yet. Shara has a bunch of messages on FetLife she has not gotten to yet. But we are getting around to that stuff in somewhat of an orderly fashion.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing we're going to address today is a quickie.
Quickie. Ooh,
yes.
I like those.
A quickie from a female listener who is moving to Germany shortly. And she writes very simply, I was wondering if you knew about a BDSM community in Hannover in Germany. I will be moving there for a few months, and I think I will miss what I have here. And with the help of Google and a little bit of studious searching, first I did check FetLife. There are a couple of Hannover, Germany groups on FetLife. You have to speak German in order to know what the hell they're talking about, which I don't. So I cannot testify to the validity or value of whatever might be found in those groups. One of them has like 150 members and the other one has about 50. So if you speak German, you might want to sign up for FetLife and just search for Hannover, Germany in the group section.
For her sake, I hope, since she's going there for a while, that she speaks German. So
yeah, so that would certainly be helpful. I mean, it's not, it's not mandatory by any means. People go to Germany for a lot of reasons. U.S. military has a big presence in Germany, and English is one of the most commonly spoken languages in the world. It may be the most commonly spoken. I have heard that said, but I have also heard other things said as the most commonly spoken languages. But yeah, so likely there are plenty of English-speaking kinksters in Germany, but you're not necessarily going to find them on the internet. Also, in the show notes for this episode, there will be a link to a place called Lounge Bazaar, which claims to be the premier destination for kinky people in Hannover, Germany. It is a fetish club, and it is in Hannover, and their address is posted on their website, etc., but we will leave a link to that in the show notes for you.
Looks like a very interesting site.
It does, yeah. So under crystal chandeliers and the beautiful sandstone arches of the Akanto in Hannover, etc., so apparently it's a fairly interesting scene and or fairly interesting locale for hopefully a fairly interesting scene. So when all else fails, if you're looking for the fetish scene, a fetish club is not a terrible place to start. And speaking of the kittens, one has joined us on the desk right now.
She wants to see all about the microphone.
Yes, they are fascinated with the microphone arm, the elastic that keeps the microphone isolated, and, of course, the pretty cords hanging from it. You want to say hello, Luna?
Say hello.
Oh, she's pretty vocal, but she's not speaking into the microphone today. So, next, we have another female listener with a couple of questions. This is EB. And she says, "Hi, JV and Shara. I need advice on two things. I've recently discovered your podcast and have been listening to it nonstop at work. I'm absolutely in love with you two. You're the perfect duo and very knowledgeable." Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I've never really been interested in sexology until this past year, mainly after I graduated from high school as an 18-year-old virgin. I have quite a few questions, so I turned to your podcast and have been learning quite a bit. My two questions of concern are, one, how can I make my masturbation more enjoyable? For the past 3 years, I've always been the one to say, yeah, I only masturbate once or twice a year to my friends whenever this topic came up because, well, it's the truth. I've never found much pleasure in touching myself, and the little pleasure I found only lasted a few minutes before I lost interest. I've tried everything from watching porn to get myself going, then masturbate, to listening to erotica, but after 15 minutes I began to lose interest, meaning I've never orgasmed, unfortunately. I've also attempted to find my G-spot, but have never successfully done so, or may be cursed as the 1% of women in this world who lack any particular pleasurable feeling in that area. For the 15 minutes that I find masturbation decent, it's through clitoral stimulation and nothing else. I recently purchased a vibrator egg, but may have been a bit too adventurous because I bought a size too big. I plan to purchase a smaller one soon to accommodate my body type. I was just wondering if there was anything you two would recommend to try, because I feel as if I'm missing out on so much listening to Shara talk about how much she enjoys her alone time.
Okay, yes, that did bring a blush to my face.
I have started exploring my body more, but I'm still not as comfortable with it as I could be, but hopefully that will come with time. So this is the first question. We will get back to her second question in a few minutes. But there are a few points I want to address here. So the first one is that you say that you are listening to lots of the podcasts. I don't know when you wrote this, if you had listened to episode 3, Meet the Female Orgasm, or not. But take heart, because there are not 1% of women in this world who lack pleasurable feeling in the area of the G-spot. Actually, the existence of the G-spot is scientifically debated as to whether or not it actually exists. Now, there are many women who do have a G-spot. There is a particular little gland that is present in some women in what would be considered the roof of the pussy when you were laying down on your back. That's a couple inches in. And when it's excited, it feels like a little bump. But there are other women who do not have that. So instead of debating whether or not it exists, I choose to believe that it's one of those many things physiologically that some women have and some women don't. So I don't think there's any great mystery. I don't disbelieve that it exists. I just believe that it isn't necessarily present for all women.
And I honestly have never checked it out on myself.
I've had my fingers in your pussy on so many occasions. You do certainly come from penetration, but I have never felt a G-spot.
Yes, I have to say, but whether I have one or not, I am very happy with how things go
pretty much
for
anything
myself.
that gets stuck in there, you start coming. So it's not like we have to find a particular little spot for you.
Well, now, in order to answer some of Evie's situation, I have been very sexually oriented and, I don't know, maybe more inquisitive since a very early age. I mean, going back to as early as somewhere between 5 and 8 years old, where I found myself taking my finger and fingering myself. And as I got older, I wanted more. I wanted, the toys. So I started off, what she might find helpful is a very small dildo, very thin and narrow. None of it with all the little bumps and all that on the end of it, just a straight, and as you know, still one of my very favorites, very straight dildo, smooth. So it glides in and out very nice and easily. And that it vibrates, because I don't care for the glass ones as much.
Okay.
But I like the vibration because it does help stimulate me if I'm not stimulated enough, which is, of course, we know not too often. But there are times where I lay down on the bed and I have the very narrow dildo, small, long enough though to be about the size, the length of a cock, because If they're too small, they just end up, I get pretty wet, as you know, so they end up kind of just being absorbed up there for a while.
Can't hold on to them.
Yeah, so
Get lost up there.
Exactly.
You gotta send a rescue team.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Go ahead. So I prefer to have one that's long enough that I can hold on to the base of it and slide it in and out. And sometimes I do my own little story in my head when I'm laying in bed. I create my own little sexual encounter, and make it up, as I'm going along. And I find out I turn out to be extremely wet from that. So it might be something that she wants to try.
Okay. And as far as the clitoral stimulation aspect, you seem to express some concern that, and this is speaking to EB, of course, you seem to express some concern that, you don't seem to get any particular pleasure just from penetration. I do not find that shocking. Only about 30% of women are able to come from penetration alone. 70% of women are not able to achieve orgasm without clitoral stimulation, so don't feel like you're broken. There's nothing weird about your physiology. You just may be one of those 70% of women who need clitoral stimulation in order to get off. One thing you may want to try also are toys that oscillate instead of vibrating. They tend to be more expensive. They tend to be the plug-in vibrators that look like giant ice cream cones. With the big round heads on them, but vibration itself, because of the way it's generated, it can cause a numbing effect. So if you're applying vibration directly to your clit for extended periods of time, it can actually cause numbness. If you're willing to spend, $130, $140 on a proper good oscillating plug-in vibrator, then you will not have that issue. And also, those larger vibrators do cover more area, so it may be one more thing to explore.
I don't think I've ever tried one. I think we need to invest in one for
me.
We
do need to invest in one.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things that we've always talked about getting around to, but then you come so easily from so many things. It's not like we're,
but then
we need to buy equipment to get the job done.
But then Evie and I could compare notes. I think
true.
I think it'd be a very interesting comparison to see the difference. And also, you brought up one good point too, is there are the dildos that, you have the little extra piece on it.
Oh, the little clit stimulator?
Yes. And like you said, though, it could cause a numbing effect. But to start off with, that is one that, if you found one that's narrow enough. For me, I've had some people come in my submissive group that said that if it was too big, it took them a long time to get excited and wet. So that's why I always say, maybe as long as a cock, but narrower, it's something that slides in and out very easily. But the clit stimulator on it also helped and really was very helpful for our submissive group to really come very easily. So you kind of brought that up a little bit, but being careful not to use it so often that it becomes where you get numb to it.
Yeah, a couple of off the wall ideas. Don't be afraid to play a little rough with that thing. The clitoris, as I have recently learned a whole lot more about, but that's all documented in the episode. I think it was episode 43. The clitoris is a very large organ. And the more it fills up with blood, the more excited you get, the more it fills up with blood, and your pussy tends to swell up, and it tends to get more sensitive as the clit fills with blood. So do not be afraid to slap yourself around a little bit, because that generally tends to engorge skin. It tends to increase blood flow to that area, so it may be a little jump start. And you may find out that you don't like pain at all, and that's fine. But you also might find out that you like it just a little bit, and that might help you get going.
I know I like it when you do it to me.
What's that?
I know I like it when you do it to me.
We both like it when I do it to you. Another thing that you may want to attempt is, especially since you've never had an orgasm, you may want to try meditating. Mm-hmm. If you can teach yourself how to meditate, and I'm not talking about any kind of sexually oriented meditation, I'm just talking about straight out relaxing your mind, relaxing your body, centering yourself. One thing that we have discovered talking to a lot of women who have trouble orgasming, and actually quite a few who never orgasmed until some of the things that they tried after we spoke with them. A big aspect for women's sexuality in general is the psychological end. it is very easy to psych yourself out and start getting stressed out that you haven't come yet. And then that in itself will keep you from having an orgasm. So trying to relax yourself as much as possible and getting into a calm frame of mind is probably a part of the puzzle.
And that's part of what I was doing, like when I go to the bed and I lay down, is I do the meditation, and it is very helpful, and it puts me in a completely different place, and I really enjoy myself. And that's also the first time I ever squirted, was when I was able to lay down on the bed, do some meditation, and in meditating, I ended up just being soaking wet, and I did my own little story to myself while I was laying there, running it through my head, and then I came and came and came.
Did you put a furniture condom down on my bed?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Most definitely.
Because I mean, I'm sure you were on your side or whatever, but got a new king size bed, which is absolutely awesome.
This was way before that.
Oh, okay.
Way before that.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, way before
Just
that.
want to keep that mattress good.
I know you do. You're too funny.
But yeah, so is there anything else you want to say on the first part of EB's question?
No, I'd be interested in having her try a few different things and and get back to us and let us know how it works out.
Okay. And so to the second part of her question, we move on. At present, I have a flirtationship, for lack of a better term, with a coworker of mine. Having just gotten out of a long-term relationship, I'm not looking for anything too serious, and neither is he, seeing as how he has been in a complicated relationship with his ex for the past 4 years. I'm at the point in my life where I want to explore and just let loose for once, and he is more than willing to help sate my curiosity, being well aware that I am a virgin. Granted, I have done pretty much everything but have sex with my ex. There is a whopping 9-year age difference between us, but seeing as how I identify myself as a pansexual, minor details like age, appearance, and even sex do little to faze me. If I want something, then I want it, simple as that. Upon finding out that we share a common love for some fetishes, which led to some sexy texting, my coworker and I have progressed as far as making innuendos and even talking dirty to one another around our French-speaking coworkers who understand very little of what we're saying. To say that there's a sexual chemistry between us would be an understatement. The question is it all right for me to so willingly put my virginity on the table for this man? Technically speaking, we have known each other for 2 years and never really talked until about 2 weeks ago when I began working in the same section as him. Although he is an ass who loves to tease me constantly, I do trust him. For reasons stemming from his childhood, he has intimacy issues, meaning no cuddling, hugging, etc., but I am willing to accept that, seeing as I don't expect a relationship out of this. However, I'd be lying if I said I didn't care for him. I really just want to experiment with someone who I can trust and who knows what they are doing. I'm just afraid that my actions and feelings in this situation go against quite a few social norms, seeing as how since middle school I'd gone around saying I'm saving my V card for my honeymoon. I now realize what a load of BS that statement is, and now understand that it is more than all right to step out of this sexual dark age and explore to my heart's content. At the moment, I am the one hesitating to advance things to a physical state because of a lack of transportation. However, he will be leaving town to visit home on the 20th, so time is ticking, and my mind is still whirling with pessimistic thoughts of the possible consequences my actions could have. So, there's a lot to say here. For first, I would like to congratulate you on psychologically considering yourself a pansexual while still being a virgin. Well, and technically a virgin, I mean, if she's done everything but the pussy, then, there's not a whole lot of virginity left there except for technical virginity. But in our society, that's still something. But the first thing I want to say is that your question being, is it all right for me to so willingly put my virginity on the table for this man? My answer to that is, that whole mindset behind that question is part and parcel of the sexual dark age. No one has the right to determine what it's all right for you to do with your pussy except for you, and when it might be all right to do it. It looks like Shara's ready to say something, so I will hand over the floor.
Well, I agree with you on that 100%. A couple things. She does state that she has feelings for him, and she also mentioned that he was going to be leaving town. So this might be a little too late for her. I'm not sure in responding. I hope not. I would love to know what ended up happening if it's already come and gone. But a couple things is always make sure that if you decide to go forward, that you're using protection. That's a big thing for me, because unless you've gone through the blood work and all of that, you need to make sure that you're safe. And then the other thing is, because you said you had feelings for him, is the after effect. Some people are really, it's important for them to have that hugging and the cuddling and all of that. If you really have your head in the right place and that you know what you're looking for, that you are really okay with that. The biggest,
there's an emotional safety factor to knowingly getting involved with someone who has intimacy issues.
Right.
It's something that's kind of off the table that you don't have to worry about if that's something that's a positive for you.
Right. And it sounds like she's not looking for necessarily any commitment right now, so it could be a good thing. However, giving up your virginity for a lot of women, it is a big thing, and it becomes an emotional attachment. He was my first. I can tell you my first will always hold a very special place in my heart for me, but I'm okay. You know what I mean?
Right. Well,
our relationship
and there is
moved
a
on.
counterpoint to that. I mean, but my experience talking to, I don't even know how many people. I mean, a lot of these were strippers I used to work with. So I mean, take that with a grain of salt, but or take that for what it's worth, I should say, not with a grain of salt. But virginity is one of those things that the first person that you have, vaginal penetration with, because you've done everything else. So. The first person you have vaginal penetration with is going to stick in your head, but it seems like you have your head on straight. And it is worth saying that in general terms, for the grand majority of us, virginity stops being that big of a deal as soon as you don't have it anymore.
Right.
Right. So it seems like a really big deal until it's gone. And then once it's gone, you don't tend to think about it.
Right. And my biggest concern for her would be are you into the cuddling and the hugging and all of that? If you're going into this open-minded, knowing this may go absolutely nowhere and I'm not kidding myself, I'm wide open, then good, great. Have a good time and enjoy. Still using protection as I recommend, but have a good time with it and enjoy it. My biggest concern, like I said, is if you do like the cuddling, making sure that your head is in that right place, that you're separating the two points. You might find out that sexually you're having such a good time with him, you don't care about the cuddling and all that. I mean, when you and I are having sex, I mean, we do enjoy the cuddling as well, but when we're having
you don't much like to mix cuddling with your sex. You like to get the hell fucked out of you, and then you like to go sit down or whatever.
Sometimes, I mean, we have really great, I'm very lucky that we have great sex. So I am so satisfied that it's like, wow, and I'm okay to sit down and cuddle with you afterwards or go watch TV or go on the computer, whatever it is. I'm pretty worn out when we're done. So I'm happy. And she might find herself the same way. She might say, wow, this has really, lit me up, and it might be a great release for him. And sometimes that connection between two people, that sexual contact that you have with each other is all that you really need.
Yeah, and also I would like to point out, you're talking about a 9-year age difference. That really is not that big of a deal. That is not that big of an age difference. Shara is laughing right now. There is a bigger than a 9-year age difference between the two of us.
Yes,
so I would not fucking sweat that, really.
To me, it's more about the intellectual level, where you're at and where he's at, more than it is about the age. Because to me, it is never the age. It is where you both are intellectually, and the charisma there between two people. Never, ever has it ever for me been about the age. And I know that's the same with you.
And with EB, I mean, especially looking at her email and how well her thoughts are organized and the attitude she's bringing towards all this, she seems to be a very mature person anyway. So,
exactly.
I would say go with your gut, and don't ever let anyone convince you again that anyone other than you has a right to decide what happens to your pussy and when.
And I grew up in a neighborhood where there's this wonderful couple, and there was a huge age difference between them. 11 years, and they were the couple in the neighborhood that everybody went, and when he passed away, she was at a huge loss because they just had that connection. But you knew that. She sat next to him in the car all the time when they came up with the seatbelt rule. That was like a big deal for her because at that time, when they were together, they didn't have seatbelts that were required. So she always sat next to him in the car. There was a huge connection between them, and everyone in the neighborhood just loved them as a couple. So age difference has nothing don't ever let anybody tell you, wow, there's a huge age difference, and don't ever let it bother you, ever.
All right, so anything else to say to EB?
I say just get back to us and let us know how it's all going.
Yeah, let us know how it works out.
Yes,
And
please.
enjoy the ride.
Yes, definitely enjoy the ride. All of the rides.
All right, so next up we have SD, and this is going to be a quickie because it's kind of something we're putting out to the audience, I believe. SD says, hey there, I randomly came across your page while searching for bondage and S&M photos for ideas. Happy to help.
Yes.
Reason being is I'm having a photographer do some shoots for my own personal use. I love your website. I'm very open about sexuality and all the things the typical person views as taboo or inappropriate. In my memoir, I discuss all my weird sexual experiences, which I wish I'd seen your site before when you had the homework assignment about the funniest, strangest, etc. sex experience. Some of my chapters discuss my accidental anal. Oh, and that's accidental anal is always one for the record books. And accidental anal almost never ends well. But back to what she wrote, sexual asphyxiation gone wrong, which has been a topic here lately. And she says, I met an ex's parents for the first time on Mother's Day after the failed choking attempt. Swingers galore, and so much other fucking hilarious shit. Back on topic, I'm very interested in learning more about BDSM, and if you can direct me towards large fetish magazines, etc., that I can try to be a model for. If not, no big deal. I'm sure you're busy already. Love your honesty and openness. It's definitely sexy and empowering for all women.
Fetish Life definitely has areas for modeling, and you can even do a search for your area for photographers. And
FetLife.com.
FetLife.com is a huge resource, and there's some great photographers that are well respected, and you can check out all the responses from other models and so forth so that you know you're in good hands. It's not just one or two responses. Some of these photographers have hundreds and hundreds of models that are openly listed on there.
Yeah, and if you actually also, the thing is she's going to want somebody probably who is in her area.
Right,
and,
you can search by area.
FetLife will help you with that, whereas general internet searches, I mean, you may gain some ground with fetish models in whatever city you live in.
You can Google
fetish,
that.
Yeah, talking to other fetish models or talking to fetish photographers. If you're interested, fetish clubs are also not a bad place to make some friends in the scene. But also, we'll put it out to the audience. Since she specifically asked about large fetish magazines, most of my kink I find online these days, and I am not terribly familiar with print magazines. There were a couple I knew back in the day, but they were small operations. So I'll put it out to the audience. If anyone knows of large fetish magazines that tend to be looking for fetish models, please post either on sexualdarkage.com under the episode 56 post, or post under or comment on the post on the Facebook page, or tweet, and we will see if we can give SD a hand and some direction.
Yes.
Because we certainly like to encourage people to be fetish models.
Definitely. I love looking at those photos, as we all know.
Oh. Yes, I think we do all know.
I can't help it. All right.
I think the audience is able to hear you blushing at this point.
I begin to think so too, but what can I say? They know the xylophone's going to have a ring to it any moment.
So that is going to be the last listener mail item that we talk about for this particular episode, but there are a few other things we want to talk about before we wrap it up.
Okay.
First, Vegas update. Shara, the ninja of travel plans. I'm so glad I have not had to make a hotel reservation or book a fucking rental car or a flight since I started fucking you, and it has been a surreal experience. Because sometimes I get frustrated because she'll spend hours on the computer, but you wouldn't fucking believe how little we pay for travel. But she has found us an awesome room at the MGM Grand. So when we are in Vegas from January 16th to January 20th, 2014, we will be staying at the MGM Grand. We haven't finalized any plans for a meet and greet yet, but really we just mentioned it. There's only been a few thousand downloads of the last episode, so we haven't really gotten to the point where we're talking about it yet, but that is where we will be staying. The AVN Expo, or the Adult Entertainment Expo, is at the Hard Rock, which is basically next door to the MGM Grand, which also drove our decision. We are going to try, as we mentioned last time, to line up some interviews and some general troublemaking, which I think will be a good time. One thing I would like to ask everybody to do, if you wouldn't mind helping us out a little, as we try to get interviews, the fact that we've got a shitload of downloads is all well and good. It helps give us credibility. We're very, very highly rated on iTunes. In fact, I have been chuckling because we didn't release an episode for so long And we released the last episode, and within 3 or 4 days, we were back in the top 10 on iTunes.
And that's a thank you to all of you.
Yes.
Seriously. I mean, yes, we might put the podcast out there, but you're listening, and we just cannot thank you enough for sticking with us while we were going through this growth period with our business, and for continuing to come back and check it out. And again, I just get chills everywhere at how many wonderful emails and private messages and Facebook messages I have received saying, glad you're back, thank you so much, and we've missed you. So again, I know we both can't thank you enough for being there for us.
Yes, absolutely. And so we have tens of thousands of listeners. And a lot of you guys do not necessarily engage with us, and that's fine. I mean, one of the reasons we put this out is so that it can be something that you experience in the privacy of your own car or whatever, and don't have to get engaged with or involved with at all. However, the number of likes we have on our Facebook page, number of Twitter followers, that kind of thing, are things that people look at when you're doing interview requests with people who get a lot of interview requests. Mm-hmm. So if you would not mind helping us out, we could sorely use more likes to the Facebook page, even if you just like the page and then turn off updates. If you don't want to see the stuff that we post, we would appreciate to get a few more likes on the page. So if you could help us promote the page, or maybe stop by and like it, that would be much appreciated. And the title of the page is, of course, Ending the Sexual Dark Age with JV and Shara.
And for those who may not know, because not everybody is computer literate like you are, you said they can turn off the updates.
Yes.
Can you tell them how to do that so that they know?
Yes. What you do is, well, at least Facebook changes some of this shit so fast.
True.
This may be inaccurate by the time some people listen to it. But what you do is you like a page, and then you go to the most recent update from that page. And in the top right corner of the individual post, there's a little arrow or a little star. Mm-hmm. You click it, and it gives you options, including, like remove this post from my timeline, remove all posts from this page from my timeline, so the stuff doesn't actually show up in your timeline at all anymore. So that is an option. And sometimes, the reason that option is there, I think, sometimes people want to show support for something by clicking like on it, but they don't necessarily want to clutter their timeline with everything that page has to say, which is fine.
Sure.
But yes, we would certainly appreciate whatever support you guys might have to give.
Thank you. And there is one more thing I wanted to mention, because in talking about this, you made me think of many times I always try to acknowledge somebody's birthday, on Facebook, and say happy birthday. And some of you share photos of something that your child has done, and they're, exciting. And I so badly want to go and click like, because I just think kids are great and awesome, and to have parents out there who care for them so much and take such good care of them, you just want to say yes. And I hold back, though, because of the fact that, of our podcast, I would not want to put anybody in an uncomfortable position. So I try to be very careful even when I'm saying happy birthday. And if I do that and you want it removed, just message me and say, please remove, and I'll make sure.
Oh, they can actually remove it themselves.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I thought so, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, you can remove it yourself now if you want to.
Yeah. So I just want them to know, because I certainly don't want to not acknowledge anybody. And at the same time, I want to give you your privacy, that if you so choose to have that, we totally understand.
Yep. And then a couple of other things. Shara and I both move our hands around when we're talking a lot. And she's talking with her hands, and her right hand totally smells like pussy. So every time she waves, she's like moving her hand around. We're using the same microphone here, so we're in close proximity. And now, wait, what? Her left hand's disappearing. She's trying to make that smell like pussy too.
No, I'm not. My nails are so long that I'm going to have to bring out the, little scrub brush thing, I guess.
Well, it's like, it's actually like back in the 80s, guys would have that big pinky nail, and it was called a cocaine nail.
Oh, yes. Ew.
I'm waiting to see that middle finger get the nail trimmed and have you have nails on all your fingers except the middle one on your right hand.
No, I have to have them all the same. They always have to be even.
Yeah, but you thought about it for a minute. You should have seen her gears turning. She was like,
No, it's bothering me that, because I'm OCD. We all, probably know that about me, but I'm OCD, so I have to always have clean hands and clean body and all that good stuff. So,
yeah. So a couple of other things.
Yes, let's move on.
You don't want to talk about your finger smelling like pussy anymore?
No,
we're just talking about it smelling like your pussy, not somebody else's pussy this time.
Well, it's not that. Okay, next.
All right. Another thing that I have not gotten around to yet, that's something I've been meaning to get around to for a while. Somebody posed a question to me in a Facebook message that just kind of brought this up in my head. And so I've decided that now is the time to put it out there. There is a method that I have developed for training female submissives to increase the intensity and frequency of orgasms. And I have my poster child sitting right next to me. Would you like to say a few words about my method, dear?
No, I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have to be more specific.
Okay, you know how when you come, you don't come once, you come 60 times?
Yes.
And you know how you didn't do that before I did a specific round of training with you a while back?
Could you be more specific about the training?
I would rather, we're not quite to the point where we're going to be specific about the actual methods of training.
Oh, so then that part is a secret, yeah.
Well, it's not a secret so much, but it's, all things in due time.
Okay, well, so what exactly you want me to explain how often I come? Because you make me come a lot.
I would simply like for a moment for you to validate the before and after results of my method. That's all I'm looking to do.
Okay, well, I will say this, that I'm an extremely happy submissive. And you have rocked my world. And to the point that there are many times, as you know, I pass out.
Yes, and did you ever do that before I trained you with my method?
No.
Okay.
No, and
I'm just looking to pull out, and I totally ambushed her with this, so that's why she's a little flat-footed. But I just wanted,
you just like to make me blush even more.
Yeah. Well,
no, you don't need to do that, really. I think they all caught that when I stumbled over my words, because typically I don't.
I'm trying to pull out a few salient points, just so that there's a little credence lent to what I'm about to say next. We are going to come out of the closet about something. We live in Metro Detroit, in Michigan. And
I think most people probably figured that out.
We haven't totally. It's not like we've really hidden it, but we've never actually come out and said it. So, what I would like to do, probably within the next 12 months, I intend to publish a book about my training method and try to publicize it in a variety of ways. So, as a matter of trying to be a responsible scientist about this, my principal success with this, I invented this method for you, basically. And
thank you.
You're welcome. I have every belief and every confidence that any capable dominant with a strong relationship with a submissive can duplicate my method and duplicate my results.
I agree.
However, I have not proven that. I hesitate to release this into the free world until I prove that. Because the chance remains that this happens to be something that I was able to do with you. But, if I'm going to try to write a book and take people's money to find out how I did it, ethically, I want to make sure that other people can do it as well.
I just have to say that, I appreciate you making me sound so special, but I do think that it's something that other dominants, if trained correctly through you or through your book, that they will also be successful with the submissive.
Yes, and I believe that too. And what I would like to do towards that end, and the reason that we picked today to tell everybody where we live is I would like to find a handful, somewhere between, say, 6 and 12 other dominant couples that are either in the Metro Detroit area or are willing to drive to Metro Detroit, say, 3 or 4 times. I mean, this training method is nothing super intense. It doesn't require any special equipment. It doesn't require anything that you don't already have. Part of it is that some of the specific end goals, in order to prevent the submissive from feeling pressure to succeed, all of the end goals should not really be shared with the submissive beforehand, and that's why I'm being so cagey. It may not matter at all, but it's something that I believe might matter because it's a pressure to succeed thing. If your submissives especially want to please their masters, and if they know that their master is doing something, expecting one specific result, then they may be, it's going to fuck with their heads. So I'm trying to use the clean slate principle.
I kind of agree with you on that. And one of the ideas that you might think of is, as you're looking out there for couples, perhaps start with the dominants, and I'd be willing to obviously, be the example that you could show them.
It's so cute that you think your willingness is required.
Well, because I know you. I know you, and you would want to make sure that I'm comfortable with it. So
Yes,
I know
but
that.
I know you, and I know that you're comfortable being displayed.
Oh, I don't know. I am a little shy.
Tell that story about your first public flogging again, and then we'll talk about how shy you are.
Oh, yeah, that was really something. But again, I did not really realize, that there was going to be that many people standing around at the end of the whole show.
Yes, but you came even harder because of it. So
Wow,
back on topic.
Oh, yes. So I'm thinking that you might want to start with the dominance.
Well, and that is precisely what we'll do. I mean, we'll identify, and I mean, there'll be, we're going to try to conduct this as scientifically responsibly as possible, because what I am trying to do here is finding out if other dominants can duplicate the results that I've gotten. B, I'm trying to identify weak points in the training process. So, in general, I'm trying to make the whole thing more robust, and I want to make it as well examined and as viable as possible before I release it out in the world.
Okay. Because
as you know, I will be making some fairly strong claims when I release it out in the world. And I just want to be, even no matter how much I believe, I'm too much of a scientist to not have data.
That you are. Always the data.
Yeah, so I should say that a female submissive is obviously required, because we're talking about a training method that is going to be unique to females. At least I believe it's going to be unique to females. The gender of the dominant is totally irrelevant. So I would be happy to have lesbian couples. I'd be happy to have hetero couples with a male dominant. And again, this is nothing way out there, but it's something that, as far as I know, and based on my fairly thorough internet research, has not been done before. It has not been widely done before. So, if you are in a dominant-submissive relationship in the Metro Detroit area, or within reasonable driving distance of the Metro Detroit area for 3 or 4 meetings, the first meeting will consist of me getting together some dominants only. So the submissives will not be invited to the first meeting, because there's all kinds of stuff we're going to talk about that, it would be premature for them to hear about. However, I can assure everyone that regardless of success or failure in the end goal of this training method, the training process itself will be a good time for everyone. Sure. There are many orgasms involved in the training process. So, so it's nothing to be afraid of. We're just asking for a willingness to make a little bit of a time commitment, and also a willingness to commit to a little bit of record keeping, keeping track of exactly what you did and how you did it, and stuff like that. So there will be a little bit of a time investment, but believe me, what you get out of it, should you be successful, will be well worth the time commitment. So all that said, jvaltheros@gmail.com, private messages to me, JV Altheros on Facebook, private messages to the Facebook page. The many ways that you can get a hold of us. Please feel free to get a hold of us, and hopefully we will. It's the beginning of November now, or first couple weeks in November. So hopefully we'll be able to get something rolling for January.
If not by February, because we are going to be in Vegas in January.
Going to Vegas. So we'll see how quick we have interest. Like I said, I'd like to have a half dozen to a dozen couples. Mm-hmm. I think the bare minimum to have any kind of valid results is going to be 5 or 6.
I agree.
Hopefully that would lead, and my intention is that would lead to a refined method and a larger group for a second round of case studies, and then letting it out into the world. But we'll see how all that works. I mean, if everybody is successful in the first round, I'm not going to worry too much about the second round.
Okay.
And lastly, you have something to mention.
Yes. I have a submissive group that meets here in the Metro Detroit area, and it's just a small group, and I have had a lot of interest from people writing me and asking about different groups. So I want to put it out there that if you are in the Metro Detroit area or don't mind traveling a little bit, we do this at least once a month. So sometimes a little bit more if there's a lot going on, and sometimes there are for submissives, to please email me or Facebook message me so that I can add you to the list and let you know when the next one's going to be. It is submissives only at this point. JV is more than willing to come out and do some talk. There's a lot of submissives who have dominant issues and not sure how to handle them. And so he's more than willing to come out and listen, but we keep that private. The group is private.
Yeah, it's important to say I am a resource, but I am not included in every meeting. I am not there for all of every meeting. in there as it is helpful.
Right. And it is extremely helpful. The things that I have brought back to the group, I've brought back questions for JV. Everything is kept private. Your name is kept private. You can tell us whatever name you want to utilize while you're in the submissive group. But basically, it's a resource to share good, bad, and if you're going through a difficult time. So you do not have to be with a dominant to be in the submissive group. You can just be somebody that's interested in being a submissive. If you have not, had a chance to experience it yet, but you're interested, we welcome you as well. So it's an open door for submissives, but it is one of the things that we ask is when you come in, that respect the boundaries of all the other submissives. And when we walk out those doors, it's basically a private setting for us to share. So to not discuss other ones' items of what's going on unless they say, I don't care if you share this, and believe me, there's plenty that the submissives do not mind sharing. So, but there's a huge request for the need for this. So I'm opening it up to a larger group. So please email me if you're interested and I'll get you the date of the next meeting.
All right. And I think that pretty much takes care of everything.
Yes, I think so too. And I'm just going to let you know that the submissive group is looking at you joining us in February.
Okay.
So kind of I know it's going to be difficult before we leave for Vegas, but
just give me dates. No
yes.
problem.
So in February, so just let you know.
All right. So that pretty much wraps it up. I don't think we have any other news. Well, we spent the last 15 minutes on news and other fun stuff. So I hope we get some interest on some of these items because it is certainly potentially a lot of fun for everyone.
Yes. Well, I can say that your experiment has always been very exciting for me, and I did not know about it when you first started doing it. So.
Well, and that kind of was the key. It's
right.
Something that I just went ahead and did, and then afterwards, after the training was in place, I told you that I had done it on purpose, and you were like, "Oh." But
yes. Well, I had to do the
You were fake mad. Yeah, you had to be fake mad.
I was fake mad. I do the fake mad pretty good, though.
Yes, but I have never seen a woman who comes as often or as hard as you do, and I am pleased to take partial credit for that.
You could take more than partial. I mean, I admit I love sex. I love. I'm very fortunate as a female to have all the feelings that I have inside of my body, and may they always be there. But I think that a lot of women, aren't sure how to open themselves up. I've always been fortunate that I've loved the feeling that I get inside, whether it's that I'm fingering myself or the dildo or your cock inside of me. I've always enjoyed having fun with sex.
All right. So on that positive note, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for listening. It is awesome to see, now that this is the second episode after our extra long hiatus, it is awesome to see how much of the audience is still there.
Yes,
like
thank you so much.
Actually grown in our absence, which is awesome. We love you guys.
Yes, we do.
Thank you so much for still being out there, and all the warm wishes on Facebook and all the messages and emails from people who are happy to have us back. It warms our hearts, and we really do appreciate it.
Yes, we do. It's been incredible. We are just sometimes pinching. Well, you're pinching me, but.
Yeah, so thank you, and please feel free at any time to become a part of the conversation, either on the Facebook page for Ending the Sexual Dark Age with JV and Shara, which you can find a link to on, pretty much every podcast post on Ending the Sexual Dark Age, or on sexualdarkage.com. JV us at gmail.com, JVShara at gmail.com, or message us on FetLife. And we are not on FetLife as much right now, but we are kind of getting back around to it,
yes.
Like I said. And
I'm going to make it part of my regular routine.
Yeah, we're trying in a timely fashion, in a reasonably orderly manner to start and get caught up on all this stuff.
Yes, and I know you are a bit busier at the business than I am, so I will try to keep both FetLifes intact. And
yes, that is excellent, yes.
And if I'm answering your FetLife, I make sure that people know that it is me answering.
Oh yeah, you will never get an email from anyone other than me signed as me. But
right.
Sometimes I do delegate to Shara because wow, am I fucking busy.
You are, but the good note is I will get it all back on track and organize it, and then it'll be easier for you to just go in there daily and do your little notes.
So we love you guys.
Yes,
thanks for listening. And once again, This be me, JV Altheros, reminding you that sex is one of the greatest things in life, and there is always room for better.
Always.